Welcome to I Ching Mashup with Michelle and Lisa. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Lisa. Together, we explore the ancient wisdom of the I Ching and mash it up with real modern life, our questions, our challenges, and our breakthroughs.
Take a breath, get curious, and let's see what the hexagrams have to say today.
Hi, everybody. Welcome into I Ching Mashup with Michelle and Lisa. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Michelle. Hello.
Yeah, and we have a special guest with us today, and she's been with us before. You just heard her episode air recently. Melissa Scannell, one of our best guests to date. In fact, we wanted to have her back to continue this conversation because it's so relevant to what Michelle and I have been discussing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's perfect. I mean, the synchronicity, I should say, is perfection. So, I want to also share and just remind you of this connection that we have with Melissa. Last time we hosted her on this podcast, Michelle was with me in Florida.
Yeah, now I'm
Yes,
not. Now I'm back in Ohio.
yes, back in Ohio. So yes, and you, Michelle and Melissa, you are closer to each other, able to spend more time with each other. What has been developing since February?
Oh my, and what?
Just
What?
whatever insights, whatever. If you want to reintroduce Melissa for
Yeah.
us. Okay.
So Melissa Scannell came into my life completely unexpectedly, but I'm so glad she did by introduction of a common friend of ours, Denise Diani. And she was like, "You've got to meet Melissa. She's
Mhm.
amazing." So I did, and she was right. Melissa is a psychedelic assisted therapist, and I can attest to her exquisite shamanism during her work that she does. I've experienced it myself, and it's life changing. And I so appreciate everything that you do, Melissa. Um, and so I'm going to turn it over to you. Do you have anything else you want to add to how amazing and wonderful you are?
I mean, for me, it's like an honor to be just able to sacredly witness, right? Like during this experience as that, again, to be allowed to be part of people's experiences, for me is just such an honor. And
And
so,
you can tell too. You
yeah.
can tell that's how you feel legitimately. And you leave so many nice little presents for afterwards and
Yeah.
little thoughtful gifts. And it was such a wonderful experience. If anybody ever wants to go deeper within themselves and really get back in touch with their heart and soul, I would highly recommend reaching out to Melissa.
Well, thank you. Yes,
And you've got a retreat coming up in October. I know
I
that seems
do.
a ways
Yeah.
away, but I'm there. I'm already signed up. I'm going. A
Yeah.
women's
Yeah.
retreat.
It's a women's retreat out in Michigan, and it's taught to with one of my close friends, and it is an intro to shamanism in a way. It's like finding your power animal and being in that space with other women and using different medicines to activate and return home to ourselves in different ways, and so
Homecoming.
yes, very exciting. And again, always an amazing, like for me, I would love to like we should all be living on in retreats, right? Like with each other
Mm-hmm.
in community.
Yep.
Um, and when we're there and doing it, it's like, oh my God, it's life
It's
changing.
amazing. Yeah.
Life changing. Yeah.
And what's awesome about it is it really does help with our topic of our question today, which is basically embodying those gifts that we discover that we do have, that we have always had, and we come back to through self discovery, right? And self exploration. And so that is, it lines up perfectly with the question that we came up with in our pre chat. Do you want to read the question, Lisa?
Yeah.
Is your
Also, I just
tab
want to
still
put some,
open?
yes, I also just want to put some context around our question. And I did have to look at my Google again for this, just to put it into context for you if this is the first time that you're finding us. To bring some clarity, we're going to be talking about the concept of a bridge human and what that means in this year of 2026. You may hear it now that we've said it, right? It's that roll yellow car, whatever. You're going to hear it more times, which is even more of a sign. So if you found us for the first time, you may identify with this. A bridge human is often referred to as a bridge between worlds or a spirit bridge. It's someone who acts as a grounded conduit. I immediately think of Melissa, a
Mhm.
grounded conduit to connect the physical reality of everyday world with higher spiritual dimensions.
Mm.
They help translate heavenly revelations or energetic shifts into practical earthly growth. And this it came across our awareness earlier in the year. So we've been talking about it and diving into it and feel like we've been attracting and connecting with these more and more bridge humans. So how do we keep ourselves whole in that? Um, yeah, there's so much more when I Google this came up since the last time. So there must be more content
Mhm.
generated around this. And so I'll just keep it open off to my side in case we need to recognize it. But if you are a bridge human, you may be noticing integrating the unconscious and doing inner shadow work. Melissa, you talked about this in our pre-chat, which we did not record for everybody else. One day we'll have the secret club recordings of our pre-chat because they're just pure gold. Recognizing the balancing of polarities,
Mm.
bridging gaps, staying anchored. You feel that desire to be rooted, firmly planted to the earth. And really, you're exploring and navigating nervous systems, what you may say is split. So, a lot of talk around that. Anyway, that being said, that takes us to our question for today of the I Ching, our wise oracle here that Michelle and I will be mashing up and sharing with Melissa to have this conversation. So perfect. What is the energy around our collective at this time? And how can we best serve as bridge humans in this time of awakening and completion so that we embody our gifts and support others in safely coming back online?
Yeah,
Did you bring some cards, Melissa? I thought you were going to do some.
I got a whole bunch. Yeah, I
Yeah,
can
you want to
definitely
grab a
pull a
deck?
couple. Yeah,
You
okay.
should. Yeah, go ahead
Give me
because it
one
takes us a
second.
while to shuffle
Yeah,
here.
I will also then be on this train. Yes.
Do it. Yeah. Three-way mashup. What is the energy around our collective at this time? And how can we best serve as bridge humans?
Holy.
Are yours jumping out or are they stuck?
Well, they're just too many are flying out everywhere. They're very excited.
It's a
I
big
have one.
concept. All right. Ooh, okay.
I have one card. That one came out right
Too
away.
many came out for me.
Oops. Okay, I got two. Ooh, okay.
Okay, so I got two. Oh my gosh. Okay. I love mine and they feel very familiar. Yeah, this is so
I
neat.
got the same damn first card again that we got because I was just looking back at last week. I got
Yeah.
52 and 15. I got 52 and 16 this year,
Oh,
this week.
interesting.
Isn't that weird?
Yes. Yeah. When did we last have a session? Was that last?
6-3.
Ooh, yeah, so a week ago. Yeah, so that's one of the concepts. And I just did a really beautiful teaching of the I Ching to a friend's school and her mastermind group of the graduates. And they were so like, they're bridge humans for sure. So the whole concept came up in that class. And there's something about like, needing to have that trust in yourself that once you understand the energy, you don't need to keep asking about it because sometimes the energy holds. And so
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we're like, oh, that's not what I wanted to hear. So I'm going to keep asking, and it's just going
It'll
to tell
keep
you in
coming
another
back. We
way.
found that out the hard way with the fireworks energy. We were like,
Right. It is what
we
it
was
is.
like,
So
nope, let's chill out for a second. We're
just
gonna
chill
we're gonna
out.
burn in place here for a minute.
Yeah. Melissa,
Uh,
do you need me to reread the question or are you going to pull cards to
No,
clarify?
I did. I pulled, and mine too, spot on. So I pulled from my ISIS deck,
Oh, love it.
mm,
and stay true and be in your power. And it's
Mm.
all about, again, like staying present in the divinity that we're all born divine. And it's about being in our authenticity and the agency that we have inside of ourselves. And when we can act from that place, how then everything else too just kind of follows. And so, like,
Mm-hmm.
as this talking about like bridge humans, this is about us being in our own world and inviting people in because, like I'm not stepping out of my world to go into somebody else's that might be struggling or in the chaos. It's like inviting them in
Yeah.
mine
We
where it's
actually
like
talked.
peaceful and calm.
Is this amazing, Elisa? Because we actually have been talking about this, Melissa. Every time we get together, we talk about how we're all in our own world, our own
Yeah.
bubble. We all have our own experiences. And
Yeah.
when you try to go outside of your world to reach people, that's when you lose it.
Right. Yeah. It says you don't need permission from anyone to be who you are. Live your life as you choose. Right. And so, like, we're constantly shifting and changing and giving up pieces of ourself, to fit in or to connect or whatever, versus like
Or to be a
us being
caregiver, even.
true to ourself. Yeah. Like, people are like, oh, you're woo or whatever. It's like, yeah, I like my woo. Like,
Yeah,
call it
me
whatever you
too.
want. I don't know, don't care. And yeah, and come check it out and see what it's like. And yeah, and you might become woo then too.
I like being woo. It does make a
Same,
lot more sense and it feels so
same.
much more uplifting.
Before we
Oh
jump
yeah.
into like the message of the I Ching, I would love to just have a quick conversation, Melissa, around those images that you showed me around the synapses and the connections of a young mind versus a more mature
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. And so my picture is gonna probably zoom in and out, but if we
Mm.
think about, again, like as a kid, let's just talk about a seed. If you think about a seed of an oak tree, like no one's telling the seed how to become an oak tree. It knows exactly what it needs to do to become an oak tree. All it needs is the proper nutrients, right? Like water and sunshine, and it's going to do exactly what it's programmed to do. And so as we have babies, like they know exactly what it is that they're here to do. And we unknowingly condition them into fear. Like, oh my God, don't do that. Oh my God, you got to be afraid of that. Oh my God, I got to wash all the clothes. Like, we all have done it because our parents did it and their parents did it. And so, though, if we start to think about ourselves as animals, like we only have two emotions, love and fear. And fear is the absence of love. And so, truly, we only have one emotion, which is love. But again, not necessarily how all of us were raised. And so, we unknowingly put boxes over our kids, telling them that their imagination isn't real, that whatever those things are. No kid thinks that they're not cool until they're told they're not cool, right? And then that
Hmm.
shuts them down until as an adult, like we are functioning in more rigid and closed off neural pathways. We don't have the imagination, the creativity, the ability to see beyond the beyond. Um, because we've been told that isn't real. And in the
Hmm.
beginning, like, during like our pre-conversation, I talked about like if you ask a 3-year-old to go sit by a tree and listen to the tree and tell you what the tree is saying, every 3-year-old would be able to do that and tell you a story of what that is and be able to listen and hear. And if you ask a 30-year-old to sit by a tree and tell you what the tree is saying, most of them are going to tell you that you're crazy. And so it's the conditioning too that we receive and what is normal and what isn't normal, what is okay and what isn't okay. And we can think about this too in relationships also, like as women, like at young age, like don't get pregnant, you can't get pregnant. And then in your 20s, it's like you better find a partner. Oh, like you're in your 30s, you're too old to now have babies. Like, the weird things that, again, like for women that we encounter just with societal norms, and how that too like conditions us. And those are just some examples, right, of like the boxes that we get put on, like that we live by, that we it's just it's a social knowing um
Hmm.
that we compare ourselves to or take part in because everybody else is, versus like being like, well, yeah, that just doesn't make sense for me.
Right.
That doesn't work for me. But
Isn't
it's like swimming up the stream, right? Like you're the one fish going the other way, and they're like,
hmm
you know,
Hello.
Right.
Isn't it kind of like, have you ever heard of Florence Scovel? She was from the early 1900s and she wrote a book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. And it's a freaking awesome book. Everybody should read it. But anyway, she basically equates life as a game. And all the things that you're talking about right there are the obstacles. And they're put there on purpose. And we're here to play the game and work around the obstacles, just like any board game, like even a board game that we don't even have to talk physical stuff. Let's talk about, like, I don't know, the game of life. You spin the thing, right? And you might land on paying a $50,000 tax bill, or you might land on landing your dream job. But either way, the goal is just to just to figure out a way around it, right? And that's kind of what you're talking about. Like, we unknowingly, and we do have to have a balance. We have to keep our kids safe. We can't just let literally a 3-year-old go do whatever they want, because they would end up dead. I can attest to that from just raising kids. Like, they're crazy sometimes, but
Right.
they always seem to find a way around all that. We don't. We stop finding ways as we get older. We just either give up or like beat our head on the wall forever instead of trying to find a way around the obstacle. And I think that's what bridge humans are here to do. We're here to help people find a way around all of this chaos that's going on and that's keeping you from sharing your light, from opening up, and from experiencing life fully, right?
I love that. Well, Michelle, let's see your first energetic card. You said it's a repeat. Yeah,
Keeping still.
keeping still. That's right.
Mm-hmm. So basically it's basically talking about having to just taking time to be still, to regenerate your energy, to refresh your mind. Um, Meditation is a big part of this card too. We just talked about this last week, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. But yeah, so it's basically saying in order to be a help in the world, you also need to take breaks. Put your own mask on before you help someone else put their mask on, basically, is what it's saying.
Yeah.
That is the energy that I pulled when I was teaching on Sunday, by the way.
Oh, keeping still?
Yes. Yeah, I recognize it in my I Ching book, the keeping still. It has that image of the two mountains
Mm-hmm.
on it. So we had a good discussion around that. Different question, but also tuning into the energy of the group, which I assume are also bridge humans, or as a lot of people identify as light workers. Um, my first overview energy pertaining to what is the energy around our collective at this time. Attention to detail, which is hexagram 62. Just taking note. It's really pretty. Taking
Mm-hmm.
note of all the colors that exist, these beautiful colors that exist in nature. It tells a story of thunder above and mountain below. And attention to detail is closer to the end of the 64 hexagrams, as we talked about the closing out of cycles. So this is very relevant to where we are. Ambitious undertakings are not in order, but attention to small matters brings decent progress. Such is the case for a person whose resources are meager, but who, through modesty and perseverance, eventually rises to accomplish great things. Yeah. I feel like I've been getting this a lot too. Know your
Mm-hmm.
role, attend to details, and act with humility. We get humility more times than
Yeah,
not.
I think it's trying to tell us something.
Yes. You can achieve success even with a few resources. So, yeah, so if you're feeling like you're out there, you maybe haven't found your other people as we have been, but they're out there. So just being there is so important. The the small changes that you make, the small actions that you take are the ones that are helping you persevere. Persevere, I get the feeling of, we were talking about going around obstacles, and persevere, I always think of through. But perseverance has been coming up a lot too.
Mm-hmm. It's true. And the other thing with an obstacle, you can either go around it, you can go through it, or you can just wait for it to dissolve. Oftentimes, if we take away our focus from a situation, it just dissolves.
Yeah, it's
Like
true.
our immediate situation. I'm not talking
Yes.
about like the world stage or anything. And our
They
cards go so well together, Lisa. You're 62 and
do.
mine 52. It says on mine, we tend to fight our need to slow down, perhaps believing we'll miss something or be overlooked or unacknowledged. And appreciating that need to retreat takes maturity and the capacity to see that going with the flow of nature, not against it, is our highest priority. So they really work well together. That's what it says in my book. And I feel like that is basically saying keep still in
Hmm.
small little increments. Just keep still once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, protecting your energy. Let's talk
Smallest
about our
thing.
change lines. How many
Mhm.
change lines do you have?
Six, line six, line four, and line three.
Okay. I have change lines 5, 4, and 2. 5, 4, and 2.
Melissa, what was your first card that you pulled real quick again?
It was stay true and be in your power.
Okay, so in order to do that, we have to keep still and remember the small things make big results. Stay in our power,
Yeah, I think it's
right?
about like oftentimes too, we're taught to think about everybody else. It's a lot easier to take care of somebody else versus yourself.
It
And so
is.
for me, like the most important thing that I teach people in the beginning is like the relationship that we have with ourselves. It's the most important thing that we're going to have. And how do we show up for ourselves? How do we talk to ourselves? What does our inner voice sound like? All of those things are important. And to be able to do the stillness and to sit with ourselves sometimes too, like can be hard if the external and the internal doesn't sound awesome to ourselves, right? And so
Right.
looking at some of those things and just the awareness is the first step of any part of change, and so just allowing our awareness to be what we're struggling with or what we want to evolve from or what we're ready to let go of. It's just like having that pinpoint of awareness allows us to then begin to expand around it.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I
I
love
love it.
that. Yeah, and like what we're ready to receive and what we're ready to bring our attention to, as we were talking about literally vibrating at a different frequency and seeing things completely different. You know, I want to come back to the change lines really quickly, but I was watching an interview of another podcaster who normally doesn't talk about the supernatural or anything like that. But today she was being interviewed and shared that she and her family have been going in the backyard and they notice that when they are present in the space, and I'm sorry, I can't say what her name is, but I've seen her come across my feed a few times. So if I find it, I will drop it. It's just she was a guest on someone else's podcast, but they go outside and when they are of a higher vibrating emotion, like gratitude, they are able to see things differently in the sky than if they are disgruntled or looking to disprove something. It's almost like I love science, by the way. Like I'm a science geek about things, but sometimes I think we get into the fault of disproving ourselves into, closed-mindedness.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But she and her family, they invite friends over and they stand in the backyard and look up at the sky. And in gratitude, they start to see orbs in the sky.
It wasn't Christina P, was it? She's a comedian who,
I think so.
yeah, yeah,
You
she
seen that
just,
one? I don't,
well,
I
if
know her
it's
last name is
Christina
a P.
P, yeah, she's got a podcast with her husband, oh, Tom Segura. It's wild. It's very inappropriate and wrong and so hilarious. But
So they're in my podcast group
yeah,
from our
she went through
editors.
a
Yeah.
major health crisis. She had breast cancer and went through all the treatments. And she said that was the one thing she's like, I don't think I can recover from this, God. And she just asked God just for help, just to get me through it or take me out, whatever you want to do. And she started doing a lot of soul searching, a lot of shadow work. And she just came to this place where she's just so grateful. And
Might be sure. Yeah.
yeah, she's like, when I have friends over and I'll go, you want to see the orbs? You just, and like, sometimes she's like, I'll see them and they won't. And sometimes they see them and they're like, yep, that's great. What are they? And then they just, you just have to be in the right frame of mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
She was saying that they literally become invisible when you drop into a lower
yes.
vibe.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm going to jump into, and I noticed between both of us and our change lines, they hit the higher levels, the more earthly, and then the internal. So these are transformations that are happening on higher levels of consciousness and into our internal and our interrelationships. So, starting with line 5, when assembling a team to undertake a challenging project or difficult task, such as raising the vibration of the world,
Mhm.
emphasize achievement and talent over status and reputation. Only by assembling solid individual contributors can followers be transformed into leaders. And that's really everybody's goal, is not really to be the leader of everybody, but to bring everybody up, to recognize
Mhm.
everybody for their unique contribution. Keeping the group chemistry in mind, harmonious working relationships are essential to the success of exceptional undertakings that begin with meager resources, and modesty is key. And then when embarking on a dangerous journey, and remember the I Ching is very dramatic, so dangerous can mean different things here.
Yeah.
When embarking on a dangerous journey unarmed, one must remain alert and on guard. When you are in a position of weakness, restraint and caution are the order of the day. To push ahead carelessly in such circumstances is to invite misfortune. I found this in the class on Sunday as well too. And Michelle, we have talks about this, having a podcast such as ours and putting ourselves out there, and having these like very beyond surface level conversations. And when people don't know you in that way, and it feels very exposing. And so like maybe the danger is in that. I mean, that's you know, very courageous and vulnerable to be able to have these conversations. So I think that type of danger could be alluded
Mhm.
to here. When you are denied access to those who control your fate, you have little choice but to accept the situation philosophically while working diligently to earn notice in the future. Restraint in difficult situations foreshadows success in the future. Hmm. What do you think about that?
Well, it sounds to me like it's saying like if you're in a situation where you're not in control, like where you really truly couldn't change it, you can only really focus on how you are dealing with it internally. Um, and again, if you just chill out and wait, you'll have your moment where you can make your move. But if you cry and yell and stomp your feet because you don't like how things are going right now, either in your life or in the world, all you're doing is creating more waves. You're not helping the situation at all.
Yeah. What are you picking up on, Melissa?
Yeah, I mean, I think about like willfulness versus willingness, and so when we're willful, yeah, we like dig in our heels and we're like, "Oh my God, I don't want to do that." Like it's super hard. And so we create our own suffering by like
Mm-hmm.
avoiding or like not wanting to deal with it. And so then we are creating that and living in that moment because every moment is perfect, right? This moment is perfect. It's never happened. This moment's perfect. This moment's perfect. But we bring in our stuff from past moments and are reliving that. And that's again like that willfulness. And we create the narrative, we get to create our own narrative. And if we can shift and change some of our perspectives, then the flow, I mean, becomes a little bit easier.
Yeah, it all adds up. All the small shifts within each of us as bridge humans, they all add up. If we're thinking about the laws of intention, and our entanglement with each other, and you think about all those, the pictures that you shared of the synapses or the connectors and coming back online, and they're like spider webs and they just multiply. Um, you know, yes, like things can be blowing up around us, but just coming back online on itself and allowing these, like, oh, I forgot I could see auras, kind of things
Hmm.
coming back on. Well, what does that mean?
Hmm.
How does that shape our day? All those little coming back on lines are adding up to changing everybody's experience, hopefully.
Yeah. And the thing is too, like we're so distracted with so many different sources of like other people's narratives, whether it's the news or podcasts, social media, like whatever. Oftentimes we're so distracted by that we're when we do recognize these gifts coming back online, we're totally freaked out by it because it's like the complete opposite of the spectrum, right? Like we go from literally claiming our identity from what we see on the TV or on the news to like, oh, wait a minute, but I'm seeing something a lot of other people can't see. That means it must not be real. I must be crazy. Instead of like, okay, I'm just seeing, I'm vibrating at a rate right now that I can see other aspects of this dimension, of this reality that we live in. Instead of poo pooing yourself, you should be like, all right, I've unlocked level whatever it is, right? It's like a game.
I like that. Yeah. There was this young guy, and I think, like Melissa, to your point, the younger minds have this agility, and I hope they hold it. We're more encouraging of that, or yeah, I feel like there's more
Mhm.
encouraging of that. As we're talking about, they use in corporate, like the emotional intelligence, or they're putting more value on things that weren't given value before. I think it's not done in a perfect way,
Mm-mm. But
but
they're
I
getting
like
there. They're
it's getting
focusing
there.
more on experiences.
Yeah.
Experiences are more valuable than possessions to a lot of the younger generation.
I think so. And I think like they recognize this young guy, and he must have been 20 or younger. I can't tell how old people are, was talking about he recognizes sometimes he's successful, sometimes he's not. Sometimes he's running out of money, or client fails to pay him. And he always says to himself, instead of lingering in the low vibe, I can't wait to tell the story of success of how this all shakes out.
Mm-hmm.
So he put himself in the forward, like, I can't wait to say this happened, but then this even better thing happened. So he's already changing
Mm-hmm.
that. And I was like, oh, that's such a smart, thing to say. Like that's changing the way we were formed to think, which is to try to solve things practically instead of
Mm-hmm.
trusting
It'll
um
work out.
that. Yeah. So tell me about your change lines.
Well, the first one is once you know that it's number six, the top line, and once you know that you're not a victim of circumstance, but only your own thoughts, the entire landscape begins to shift. It's as though there is more time and spaciousness, and life can be experienced as the extraordinary generosity that it is. It says, as you begin to reflect the generosity within even the smallest gestures, you radiate of quality. Even the even in the smallest of gestures, you radiate the quality of the divine. So again, this is there's nothing out there that is causing you to suffer. It's how you're reacting to it. It could be something as small as something that somebody said to you at the gas station, or something that's going on the world stage. Either way, neither one of those things affect us most of the times directly, right? It's just getting our ego all up in a bunch and like, I don't like what he's doing, or I don't like what she's saying, or whatever. Just realize
Yeah.
it's your own resistance to that that's causing the suffering, not the actual action of it.
Everything is just an experience if we allow it to be, not a continuation from yesterday. And I think
Right.
that's some of the stuff that I see a lot, or the people that I'm working with, is learning how to disconnect all of the things that have been wrongly connected together.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we have an experience that reminds us of a different experience, those neural pathways are connected. And so when we feel something, we don't just feel that one experience, we're feeling all the other times we've ever associated any of those things together, and then we feel all of it in that moment, even if it's not justified, like anger, like we get
Mm-hmm.
triggered sometimes, again, like we go 0 to 10, even if it isn't justified in that moment, but because it's attached to all these other neural pathways, And when something gets triggered like that, our cycle just replays the cycle, replays the pattern. And so it
Mm-hmm.
is taking that step back and having some humility and being like, okay, like there it was again. And how do I send love to this? And how do I want to expand through this? Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a lot of it, as
My
we're
change
talking.
line, my
Right.
change line 4 goes right into what you're saying too. Like it almost mirrors it. It says, believing in me keeps our lives locked up in a tight little compartment that is intended to protect that me from harm. And it's easy to become victims of our own fearfulness and mistrust. Life is a gift and it has been given to you in abundance. Once you recognize, and you love that word, don't you? Abundance.
Mhm.
Once you recognize this, everything that now, once you recognize this, everything now seems everything. I can't read this. Oh, okay, wait a minute. Once you recognize this, everything that now seems difficult will be easy. So there you go. That kind of really locked right into what you were saying. Like we're protecting this me. Our ego gets all upset because it's protecting this facade that we have built of what we think we are out in the world. And we're saying, ignore that.
Well, I
Go
think too,
inside.
it's like understanding what the ego is. And, I think for everybody, maybe too, that word has its own connotations. And the ego is things that we have picked up along the way that have been given to us. And that develops before we're even born. Our parents in like the stages, are we a planned pregnancy, are we not, like do they want a boy, do they want a girl, all of those things are attached to our ego, of these constructs of what has been given to us, our name, who we're named after, again, like what are they going to do when they get older, all of these things like are given to us and they begin to form our pathways. And so as we're doing this work, we begin to untangle those because that isn't us. That is our
Mm-hmm.
parents' stuff and their parents' stuff unknowingly. Again, but it's, did we really like to play the sports we were put in? Did we really like the art that we did? Like, or were we doing the things because that's what our parents did and they wanted us to do those things? Like, for me growing up, like art was not something that was really important in my
Valued.
household. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't really valued. And so we never really got to do a lot of those things. And so like after my awakening, I was like, oh my God, like I love doing art and crafting and all of these things. And oh my God, it's so important to me now in the lifestyle that I have. But again, growing up, that wasn't something, it was education and it was understanding the dynamics of certain things and being productive and being efficient and having a job. And, like if you have downtime, you're not doing art, like you're cleaning, you're doing this, you're doing that. Like you're never sitting still to do something crafty or creative. Um, so again, I think it's those types of things that as we begin to peel back those layers and find it's like, oh wow, like no, like I have passion in that. I really like that. It awakens
Mm-hmm.
something inside of me and makes me feel a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your other change line, Lisa? I know you have. Don't you have another one?
I went through my change lines. I covered them.
Oh, you did. Okay. Well,
Yes.
I have one more. It's number 3, and it just basically says, because of a long history of misunderstandings about what meditation really is, it's easy to fall into the delusion that a forced stillness is the same as one that is relaxed and natural. They might look similar to the untrained eye, but they are not. Anything you lock up in a cage will just come back to bite you as soon as you let your guard down. So if you can't sit still, then run and keep on running until you drop from exhaustion. It will be better for you than tying yourself to a meditation bench with repressive and unnatural force. I love that. You can also
Yeah.
meditate while you're in motion too. Like there's walking
Mhm.
meditations you can download, or you could just walk in silence. Gardening is a meditation for me. Probably you too, Melissa. So anyway, what's
Uh,
your what's your second card, Lisa?
My second card is so the forward energy. How can we best serve as bridge humans in this time of awakening and completion so that we embody our gifts and support others in safely coming back online? Hexagram 48, the well.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so like dipping down into the depths of
Yeah.
ourselves. And throughout cultures of the world, the well has served as a symbol for that which sustains life and provides a constant, inexhaustible source of nourishment. Human nature is basically the same. The passage of time cannot add to its dimensions nor take anything away. Still, just as the well can be deepened to produce clearer water, we can enrich our lives by delving deeply within to tap our essential nature and reach the true source of spiritual nourishment.
Hmm.
Well, that just goes along with everything we've been saying about going within yourself and
Yeah,
realizing who you really, that's perfect. That's amazing.
yeah.
I know
Going
my
deep.
card piggybacks on that too. I picked magic and ritual, which is like crafting sacred patterns, and so like doing the things for yourself, right? Like
Mhm.
what are those things that we do every day for us that allow us to have all of those other things, access
Mhm.
different access points to ourselves, you know. Mm.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, the well and magic. And I think of like just the alchemy too. We talk in our conversations with you, we talk a lot about community and that like interconnectedness. And I'm just like brought back to period 9 and women. I'm not discounting men, but the feminine, the divine feminine aspect within all of us. But that idea of alchemizing through nourishing nutrients and water and I mean, water in itself is such an important theme too, as we talk about not just nourishment, but the energy that it contains, the magic
Mhm.
of that.
Mm.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
also flowing like water flows. It can either be a destructive force or it can just flow naturally and nicely around obstacles. Again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
And
that. What's yours?
I think your two cards are kind of building to my card because my card
Okay.
is number 16, enthusiasm,
Mm.
which
Oh,
the
yeah.
first word in my, so it's a really pretty card too.
Oh, it
Mm.
is
And some
beautiful.
of the key words are in self expression, inspiring others, self confidence, totality, success, sharing, and a positive response. And I don't really need to read my long version because what I think this is saying is in order to be an inspiration to others and in order to have your true self expression and confidence in that, you have to go to the well and you have to perform your magic and your rituals, right? People get weirded out by that word, but it's just a routine or a habit or something you do to mark a specific beginning or an end of an activity or how, set your intent. It's just a ritual. Like it's just something you do every day for yourself. So if you don't do those things, you might be able to go out into the world and self-express, but it's not going to be authentic. And
Mm,
you're not going to feel rooted and grounded in it if you don't
yeah.
go to the well and if you don't have your magic.
Yeah, I love that so much. The idea and the element of water in itself is very much related to our own individual, our self journeys. And in Feng Shui, we communicate that to people around being like your life purpose or your career. It doesn't have to be a career,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I think we've mentioned several times in this conversation water,
Yeah.
bridge over water.
Bridge.
Well, I
Yeah.
think too, there's a book, it's like Hidden Messages in Water by Dr. Moto. And he was the one who first started study. He's a scientist who started studying water and how it changes its molecular chemistry
Mm-hmm.
based on what we tell it. And so if we tell it, I love you, and we freeze it, it looks very different if we tell it, I hate you. And so if we're 80% water. Some people say we're 90% water. All the food that we eat is water. That does something to us on a cellular level, right? And sometimes people need the science to be able to see what these things look like and have that understanding. But it makes sense, right? Like that our belief systems affect our body on a cellular level and what we're holding on to and what we're not holding on to, right? What we're willing to let go of or not let go of,
Yep.
and anything that we're intaking too, like can change our frequency,
Mm-hmm.
like in the beginning, we talked about like the foods that we eat and things like that, like important, like based on the things that we're providing ourselves, is going to raise our vibration or lower our vibration too, just by the intent of where that comes from or how it was made or was it made with love or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Yeah, all
I
related to
know
water.
Michelle's looking at me like very and I can't think of the word, but you're looking at me because we were just talking about Dr. Emoto.
Yeah.
And I don't work with this group, but we do talk a lot about it within the intrinsic school of feng shui and in feng shui in general around the ideas of what you're describing. Words matter, energy matters. It's evident in the water crystals and how they form, organized or not. I just shared with Michelle that there's the Emoto group is having a science retreat in Japan in the fall. I forget the dates. Hopefully, it doesn't conflict with yours. I'm not sure if I'm able to make it to Japan, but it's an experience where you do the experience with the Emoto group.
Oh, that's awesome. I've
Wouldn't that
heard
be
some people
amazing?
on retreats doing that too. Like they're just saying things into water, putting it and like freezing it and then looking at it under a
Mm,
microscope. And
we
like
could
they're
do
also
that.
being
Yeah,
experiencing that.
We
Yeah,
should all three have a retreat and do that.
I would love it. Yeah,
absolutely.
let's do it.
Do our own experiment.
We
Yes.
have enough activities that we could fill.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
many. Yeah,
Yes.
I love that. Um, so Melissa, in perfect synchronicity, how this conversation came full circle, what do you feel in your expertise and experience that you can add to putting a nice little bow on our discussion that we had today?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we have to understand that everyone's at like different stages and levels. And that it's meeting people where they're at, but taking care of ourselves. The most important thing that we can do is work on ourselves and be in our presence and be in our authenticity. And that changes, that sends out a ripple to everybody else. And oftentimes, again, culturally, we're taught to do all these other things or take care of other people or focus on other people versus ourselves. It isn't selfish to nurture ourselves. It isn't selfish to love ourselves. It isn't selfish to be our own best friend. And what does that look like? And how do we show up in that? And all of those other things too then will just come. And this is about stages and levels. And it isn't about just like, I think too, like we live in a culture where it's like we want that immediate fix. There is no immediate fix. Like that doesn't exist. Like this is about a lifestyle and a path and a journey that all of us are on if we choose to be the rest of our lives. And for me, I will choose that the rest of my life because it's being in that heart space is like the best feeling I've ever had, and I will follow it forever.
Mhm.
And so knowing too that no matter where you are, we come in and out of balance. Things get difficult or challenging. That doesn't mean that you're off your path. That still means that you're on your path. That this is about too, like reaching out when you need it, or you're not understanding things, or you need a lifeline of like being able to lean in or peel apart whatever it is that maybe you're experiencing, and you need help understanding during your unfolding, your awakening, right? Like as your veil begins to shed, and like these
Hmm.
different downloads kind of start coming in, and you're like, what is this? And this is doesn't make sense. Like reach out and talk to people and have those conversations. And um for me, that's the
Or,
only conversations typically I have. Even if someone is like, that just sounds whatever, it's the seed that we plant,
yep.
for others, that invitation of thinking, that they might not have had prior. Just like these conversations that we're having right now. Like we're all three in different states, but we're also the antennas, right? That everyone between us in all of those ways is also receiving, whether they want to or not, just through our communication and our talking, it gets into the consciousness, it gets into the ether, into those pathways that we can't see, that allow to become other people's downloads, So
So beautiful,
That's
so well said.
beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah, that was like the best soundbite ever. I'm not skilled enough to know how to grab that, but that's like really beautiful. So, Melissa, how can I know we've said before how people can get in touch with you, which we will remind them, but would it be okay if we add information about your women's retreat, or is there a limit on
Yeah,
how
we
many
have
people?
there is, I think, a 12-person limit. We have another
Okay.
one scheduled too for November, that's open to male and female. And so, yeah, my email is psychedelicgenie at gmail.com. And my website is psychedelicgenie.org. And so please, yeah, reach out. I love to talk. I do free integration every Tuesday. I have an integration group that's been running for about 5 years via Zoom. Like, you don't have to see me to be part of it. It's just like a community of others using psychedelics, not using psychedelics, again, a conscious space for people who need support and need a community because not everyone's doing this work. And so it is nice to have other people who are doing this work. And we laugh together and we cry together. And it's an amazing group. Uh,
What time's your call on Tuesdays again? I've been
it's
on it
Tuesday, it's 10 to 11:30 Eastern.
Eastern, right?
Yep. 9 to 10:30 Central. And again, it's every week, and if people are interested, just reach out to me. I just screen people kind of before I give them the Zoom because it's the same Zoom link every week. And it's a good place for sometimes too people like start to see what this is all about, right? To kind of begin to dabble. This is about harm reduction, also like how do we reduce any harm? We're hearing things, we're trying things ourselves, and how do we again like really support people? And I come from this place of abundance, right? Like Michelle, you talked about that for a second. Like, yeah, as a traditional therapist, like in how I was raised in the mental health field and management, managed care, like everything, get every billable hour, and like that's just not really how it, like that is not the world and what we need, and so it's offering people exactly what they need and knowing too that like there's awesome free things that you can do that will absolutely support you and people to see you.
And very quickly, I've been on the call a couple times, and I need to put it on my calendar and do it every week because it is very valuable. There's a wealth of knowledge there. It's not Melissa there talking the whole time. It's the people on the call supporting each other, and it's really magical and beautiful.
Yeah, I do very little talking because I
Yes,
love
you do.
the engaging. And as we teach, it reinforces our skills, right? Like that is what builds our own mastery is when we're able to offer, we have keys for each other. And so like what I've gone through might help what someone else has gone through again. And so like we all receive, the teacher becomes the student becomes the teacher over and over and over again. And yeah, and again, how to just have and hold the sacred space for all of that.
I can't wait to visit that. And as you were
Yeah,
talking, I was just reading through our divination question again. And so that sounds like it ties in perfectly to be able to embody gifts and support others in safely coming back online. And you're doing just that. So um,
Mhm.
you're quite, evidence of this bridge human activity that we've been discussing. And thank you so much for joining us again. I hope we can have you again soon, anytime.
absolutely. I love this. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I wish we all lived closer so we could be hanging out and doing some drum circles.
I
Right.
know. We could all sit with the trees and
I know. Yes,
yes,
definitely.
well, we will do that soon. Yes. So we'll make sure that we put your contact information again and website so people can be clued into this support call and also the retreats that are coming up. That sound amazing. Well,
Absolutely.
thank
Yeah. No,
you.
thank you.
It's been so fun. All right, ladies. Well, I'm going to take this with me into my day. I feel so much more empowered just from connecting with you and realizing the true importance of experience. So showing up present in the moment and no moment, this moment is separate from all others.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
thank you. All
Love
right.
that.
Well, thank you, listeners, for joining us in this conversation. We would love to hear from you what you connected with and what you'd like to hear more of. And as always, feel free to message us if you desire to be a guest. We would love to have you. You don't have to have any experience with I Ching. That's what we love about it. It's a language of communication, and yes, we're all teachers to each other. So we would love to have you. Okay.
Awesome.
Michelle, thank you so much. Talk to you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on I Ching Mashup with Michelle and Lisa. If today's conversation sparked something in you, sit with it, journal on it, or pull your own hexagram and see what answers arise. Until next time, keep listening for the wisdom beneath the noise. We're Michelle and Lisa, and we'll see you in the next mashup.